Am I the asshole for eating a girl's trigger food in class? This just happened and I'm getting shit from some people in my class. I'm F16 in concert choir at my school. I love the teacher but this class is a joke. We've been working on the same song since January 5 and are still not done with the chorus. We only did the chorus. Our teacher lets us eat in class and I eat a mix of healthy food and absolute shit in class. Today I was eating a bag of Doritos and a girl private messaged me and said I need to put my Doritos away because she has an ed and they trigger her. I said no because I was hungry, so she turned on her mic and said, "Hey op, Doritos are one of my trigger foods, can you put your food away?" My teacher said I'm fine but like half the girls in the class agreed with her that I need to put them away. My teacher gave me permission to turn my camera off. District policy is to keep cameras on unless you have a teacher's permission to turn it off, and I thought it was problem solved, but I started getting texts and messages in the chat that I'm being a bitch. I told them I'm allergic to seafood, so if you're eating sushi does it mean I get to tell you to stop because it makes me upset that I can't have it, and they said it's different, so I wanted to know if I'm the asshole. Not the asshole. It's unfair of her to impose her own restrictions on you. No therapist would recommend that. She has to learn to cope with triggers, not avoid them. Not the asshole. As someone with disordered eating, it is no one else's issue but mine. You don't get to control what other people eat, that is ridiculous. Not the asshole. Turning the camera off should have been more than enough. Not the asshole. I had an eating disorder for many years, and I'm still very confused on what she means by trigger food. Does that mean she wants to eat it? Not the asshole, she is in for a major shock when she gets into the real world. Not the asshole, what the fuck is happening to personal responsibility? Not the asshole. Trigger food? And not even in the same room, but over video. Entitled much? Not the asshole, she doesn't have to look at you if she's uncomfortable. If you're hungry you can't have someone tell you you're not allowed to eat. For her to truly heal from her ed she's going to have to figure out safe coping mechanisms and improve her relationship with food anyway. Could you imagine requesting to cancel a commercial or take down a billboard ad for Doritos because it makes her uncomfortable? That's an issue with her, not you. I'm really struggling to see the girl's reaction as reasonable. Okay. Doritos are a real issue for her. She can't smell them, she's in another building entirely, she can't hear them, mic is off, and she can see them in a postage stamp-sized video feed of op. There are 4 pages worth of students' video feeds. Wouldn't it have been a ton less hassle to just click to view one of the other pages of people, and draw no attention to herself, not the asshole? It's one thing to make accommodations when you're there in person. But trying to control what someone eats in their own home is just, no, that's too far for me when you're not forced to watch or hear. Not the asshole. She's using her eating disorder as an excuse to be controlling over others. Not cool. And then she tried to make you look bad by publicly calling you out. Also not cool. If she has an issue with folks eating something she needs to work on that in therapy. Not the asshole, she can look away. Not everyone in her life will walk on eggshells. Tough man shrugging medium skin tone. Not the asshole. Wow. What would she do in a cafeteria when probably half the kids are eating Doritos? I can't remember the notation but kinda in awe. Mainly for the sushi response. Being allergic to seafood doesn't mean you can't see it. You just can't be near it, which you would hope someone would respect. You are entitled to eat whatever you want, but you could have also just tilted your camera up some to not show the bag, or told her to put a sticky note on your feed. It's on her to handle the trigger foods and find a solution for it. Not the asshole, this is absurd. If she goes out in public, is she going to ask people to stop eating her trigger foods? What if a restaurant has a trigger food on their menu? She can put a sticky note over your picture if it's that big of a deal. Not the asshole. Having an eating disorder does not make them able to control who eats what. If anything, I'd ask the teacher if you can mute yourself while you eat and communicate via chat so she doesn't have to hear you eating those oh so delicious Doritos. And yes, I also love them, those chips are so addicting. Not the asshole. That's her issue that you are not responsible for accommodating. Why do you have to adjust your behavior? She could have stepped away or minimize your video from her view. This is her problem, so these are actions she can take. It is asshole behavior to impose responsibility for her issues onto you. You're not an asshole for refusing to put the food away. Part of recovery is learning to cope with triggers as they appear in the real world. But you are an asshole for the way you tried to compare apples and oranges with that "what if it makes me upset that I can't eat sushi" bullcrap. Triggers are different to looking at someone eat a food you're allergic to or just being as basic as getting upset. That was shitty and unnecessary. Am I the only one who thinks no one should be eating in choir class and that this is probably the reason why they're still on the chorus? Teacher, get everyone to stop eating and sing for a while, see how you get on. Not the asshole. That's a totally unreasonable accommodation. You should be able to eat whatever you want in your own home lol. She's the one with the problem. Tell her not to look at the window with your feed. Going against the grain here, you are the asshole because how hard is it to just not eat a snack for like 1 hour, if somebody requests it? Yes, the girl should take personal responsibility. Her disorder is her own. Yes, she needs to find a way to manage her triggers. Yes, you're allowed to eat whatever you want. But for fuck's sake, she's trying to at least be proactive about her ed and asked you privately if you could not eat Doritos on camera. If she asked twice, it sounds like she is really struggling. Is it really that hard to be a compassionate human? Why is every post on this sub "it's not your issue, do whatever you want"? Not the asshole. If seeing someone eat chips bothers her that much, she has worse problems than an eating disorder. Not the asshole. This is her issue, not yours. I am so tired of people feeling like just because they have an issue, others need to conform to them. In this world we live in, you are not going to be able to tell everyone to stop something that bothers you. They have just as much right as you do. You did nothing wrong and her friends bullying you only made it a difficult situation. She will have to learn to live in the real world. Not one where everyone has to conform to her. Not the asshole. It's not your fault that she is struggling with a ed. She can't force you to stop eating things that you like. She will face different triggers every day and she will have to find ways to cope with that because not everyone will walk on eggshells. Not the asshole. I'm sure you were putting those Doritos as fast as you could. Not the asshole. At OP, I'm a teacher, send screenshots of the bullying messages to the appropriate school admin. They were bullying you during school, online or not, so you should expect that these students are appropriately disciplined for their bullying behavior. Make clear to admin that you were bullied during school, class. If admin ignores you, then you should go up the food chain in the school district. This is seriously uncouth behavior. Not the asshole. Stupidity is my trigger. Yeah, you are the asshole. It's not that hard to put down a bag of Doritos after someone communicates something personal to you. Not the asshole. As someone who suffers from an ed, this is not your problem. If she's that easily triggered, she needs more help coping, potentially from a therapist or treatment facility. A trigger food existing in her line of sight, especially such a common snack, and you're eating it in your own space on camera, is likely to happen often. Food is everywhere. She can't go around pretending trigger foods don't exist. She could encounter them in any public setting. You weren't shoving them in her face, or showing them off. You were eating food. What happens when she sees an ad or a post online about a trigger food? This is just weird behavior on her end. She could have looked away. She chose to make this your issue. As someone who's had 2 EDs and recovered, this is the first time I'm ever hearing the term trigger food. Also, not the asshole. No one gets to control what someone else eats, that is her burden to bear. Hopefully she seeks treatment and therapy. Not the asshole. Why is she even looking at you when she should be paying attention to the instructor? She was overstepping by a lot. If this was a Zoom class, she could have easily solved this by switching to speaker view so she'd only see your teacher. Either way, we live in a world where people are going to make their own food choices, and she might as well learn now that she can't go around demanding that people not eat chips because she can't handle it. She needs to find a more reasonable coping mechanism that doesn't involve imposing on others to manage her ed. Not the asshole. Her triggers are hers to deal with. You were minding your own business and just having a snack. This other girl is trying to use her eating disorder to control you. Tell her to pound sand. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She may be fancy enough to use the word trigger, but what she's oh so conveniently not mentioning is that people who are in therapy for ed are taught coping mechanisms, none of which require everyone around them to stop doing things that might trigger them. So she's either not getting treatment for her ed, which is not your fault, or she is using her ed to get attention and feel special. Also not your fault. Info: what is an ed? Google only shows me results on erectile dysfunction. Not the asshole. I'm wondering how this classmate functions when she goes outside of her house. Not the asshole. Kids fucking suck. If you all were at school, they wouldn't have the gall to bitch about a bag of Doritos. They can just not look at you. Not the asshole. If you're all on Zoom, she could have just hidden your little window. That being said, chorus class sounds like one of the worst possible times to be eating Doritos. Not the asshole. Her eating disorder is something she has to learn to handle. And that means dealing with triggers. At first I thought, put them away because smells can be strong, but then I realized this is a Zoom class. Let that girl turn off her camera if she can't see Doritos. I'm sorry, but this is a virtual class? And you were cleared to mute mic and video? Not the asshole. Not the asshole for having your food and not getting rid of it. A little bit the asshole for belittling her ed. It is different than your example, and while it's not your fault and not your responsibility to avoid all of her triggers, there's way better ways of saying that than how you did. Just a little mindfulness of how to navigate boundaries would probably go a long way to diffusing this and getting others to leave you alone. Her ed isn't your fault and they need to learn that. Info. What about Doritos is triggering? Did this girl get stuck in a vending machine like Matthew McConaughey? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. But the way you're talking about her in the comments leans into asshole territory. She needs a reality check. Tell that girl to fuck off. Not the asshole. Lol. WAAAAIIIIT. You mean camera as in remote class? Eat what you want in your own home. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The girl can stick a post-it note over your square and move on. It's not like you're right next to her and she can hear you crunching and smell the cheese or ranch. As someone who struggles with an ed, we're actually taught we need to learn to face all foods, especially the ones that trigger us. Eds are all about control. We're supposed to learn to not let food control our minds. Not the asshole. What the fuck is a trigger food? It's virtual. She does not have to look at his screen. She doesn't smell it. That's a bit dramatic and a little bit ridiculous. I blame boredom, COVID and teenage angst. But them coming after you is bullying and they need to knock it off.